So today we'll create a pipeline um, for PHP DB app.
Sorry, what, Preethi?
For PHP DB, we have a PHP and SQL database, right?
Right.
I have this repo which is PHP DB. Let me clone this.
Preethi, did we finish all the topics on Unix? Yesterday we were discussing the Unix basics.
Oh, sorry. I think, okay. I'm sorry. I'm just taking up a topic from another batch. So we are the November batch, right?
Yes.
Sorry. Thanks for reminding me. I'm sorry. So we were talking about Linux basics, right?
Yes,
Confused
Preethi.
for
Yeah.
other. Okay, got
So,
it.
Preethi, I was practicing the folder and file permission yesterday, and when I create a Tom and try to provide the file permission like 777, and when I log in as Tom, still I'm not able to edit that.
Like, can you share the screen or else can you share the steps? I
Can I share the screen?
at
If is it okay now, or we can still discuss at the end of the class?
yes, at the end of the class we will discuss.
Done.
So yesterday we were talking about the file permissions, right? Users and permissions. So today we need to talk about users groups is completed. File permissions are done. And today numeric mode also discussed, right? Okay. Okay, let me start my instance. Sorry, got confused with October batch. So this is where we are, right? So let us look into few operators like ls is the command to list any files in the current directory, right? If you want to list files or contents from another directory, you can give that path like etc bin. This is the default folders we have under etc. So maybe bin is not there, like etc. Right? It will list all the folders in that particular directory. You can also check this way. And etc password is having the users with this file we have seen. And
What
his
is Etsy, Preethi?
default folder in the system.
Okay. I mean, is there any abbreviation for Etsy?
No. Under root, you have etc folder where all the installations, configurations goes, and under etc again, you have all the subfolders. System defined folder. Let me switch to easy to user, su-easy to user. That's how you switch to any regular user. And let me check history here. Yeah, we have bunch of commands. History will show the history of the commands, right? So out of this, let's say, I want to search only few commands from this, right? You can pass this input to another command through pipe operator. That's called pipe. History output should be piped into some other command and then search for grep, global regular expression. This is for searching. Let's say I want to search for sudo commands in this history. See, it has listed only sudo commands. grep is a very good search operator. Like as we progress to search the logs or anything, we'll use this grep. So history grep sudo. So history output will be sent to, as an input to the grep sudo. Pipe works like a connector which connects the outputs. So okay, fine, it's giving this. Now I want to place this in a file. Let's say I want to create a file called log.txt. So this is called redirection arrow, a single redirection arrow. This will create a file called log.txt if it doesn't exist, and it will place everything here. See, log.txt is created. If you see, you can see all the sudo operators. I mean, all the commands with the sudo. Why only these two are there? And did I read the, oh, okay, sorry. These are all the content of the log.txt, right? Whichever having the sudo command in the history. Let's suppose I want to search for something like, maybe I would like to search for chmod. Right? These are all the chmod commands. Let's say I would like to add this into log.txt. Right? Even those were added. Now, if you see, can you see that like all the chmod commands? But where are the sudo commands? This single redirection arrow will overwrite the content. So it has overwritten the earlier content and it has added the chmod commands. Right? But let's say you don't want to overwrite, you want to append. In that case, you can use double arrows. Anyway, there is already there that's overwritten. So let's say now I would like to grep the history. Sudo. And then this time I would like to use append, not overwrite. So double arrows. Now, if you see the content of this file, it should have both. Yeah, it has added this twice, right? Because we have added sudo, double arrows for chmod, it has added twice. And then you should be seeing sudo commands as well. Understood the difference between single redirection, double redirection arrows?
Yes, ma'am.
These are some of the very few operators. Like you have many others. We'll be walking through them or we'll be covering them as per the context, as per the scenarios. Okay, these are a few of them. And until now, whatever commands we are running, we are writing, right? We are writing them one after the other, right? Like let's say we are adding the user to the group, then we are giving the permissions and all. Like let's say you have two commands. We are writing each command one after the other. What if, and also you have to wait for first command to execute, then run the second command. What if you want to run all of them in one go together, right? So yes, you can
Yes.
do that. You can keep them in a file called shell script. That's where shell scripting comes in. Shell script is nothing but a bunch of Linux commands where you keep them in a file and run them, all of them together. That's a shell script. And there are different types of shell programs available: born shell, born again shell, and so on, G shell, and so on. We'll be using born again shell, which is more wide.
Social.
This is what we'll use, born again shell, which is bash, which is called bash, right? So let's see how to write the script. And here you may create some script file and do it. And I would like to use a better editor for this. So I would like to use VS Code editor here. We have discussed about VS Code editor, right? Have you all configured it?
Yes, Preeti.
Yes, ma'am.
So we are using VS Code editor in our Windows. Let's say this is my EC2 instance, but still I want to use the VS Code editor from my local. Like this is my local, right? So can I connect to my EC2 instance with this VS Code editor?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Is that covered?
Not yet.
It's not covered,
Right.
Preeti,
There
but
is a
yeah,
command.
we
Okay.
know.
Okay, cool. Cool. So let us connect to this. Let's connect this. So first go to command palette. Command Shift P will take you to the command palette. And before this, one more thing, you have to install. Here you see on the left hand side extensions. So here you can install SSH plugin. If you search with SSH, there is a plugin. These plugins, it's a remote SSH plugin. You can install it. For me, I have installed it. That's why it's showing uninstall option. If you haven't installed it, it will show you install option. So install this one first. And then Command Shift palette. Go to Command Shift palette. Command Shift P. That's going to your command palette. So here you can see open the configuration file. I mean, create a configuration file actually. So this is how it should be. Like host, some name to your host, and the public DNS of your EC2 instance.
Preeti, Command Shift P on MacBook, and how about on Windows? Is it Control Shift
Control.
P?
Yes, Control Shift P. You can just do one thing. This is the Command Shift palette. Okay, go here and do. This is the command palette. I'm sorry. Open SSH, or else if you type SSH, it should come up. Okay, you have to go to the command palette and then search. It's not such, you have to go to the command palette. I'm just checking. Here it is. Okay, under view, you have this command palette, right? That's how you can go. If you don't remember the shortcut, go to view command palette. And then open some SSH configuration file. So this is what you have to keep: host, some host name, and then host. This is your own name you can give. Here is the host name of your EC2 instance, the public DNS. Public DNS or public IP are the ones which are used to connect from outside AWS. I'm trying to connect from Windows, which is outside AWS. So you should use the public DNS. Default user identifier file, the PEM file location. This is my PEM file location. Save it. Again, go to command palette. This time connect to host. Here host name, my own name I have given is AWS server to identify the machine so that you will be connected to that machine. That's all. Now if you can open the folder. Allow. So it is a default opening the home directory for EC2 user, which is good. Right? So also terminal is launched. You don't need to go to another terminal and all. You can do this. Right? That's all.
Ma'am, you told to install SSH. Ma'am. There are many SSHs there. Which one I have to install?
Remote SSH.
Remote SSH. Okay.
And here you can see these steps are also available in the Git VS Code download and connection to EC2. In the Git page,
Yeah.
you have this. Control Shift P, open configuration. This is how you should save it, and remote connection to SSH. Again, I am repeating to avoid any confusion still anyone have. It's same as connecting from this terminal or your Git bash will have only CLI. But now I'm going to create some script files to make this easy for me. I'm using VS Code editor. That's all. See, these are the log files and all we just created just now. Okay, now let me create a script file. Sample.sh. Script shell script ends with extension .sh. Okay, here you can write the script and your script starts with a shebang line. Shebang line means pound exclamatory. And then the shell program path, bin bash. Here, this is called the shebang line, which indicates which shell program you are using. I am using bash means born again shell. And here, pound means like it's called sharp. Exclamatory means it's called bang. And in shortcut, both of them together called shebang, which indicates which shell program you are using. Okay. And then I'm writing simple echo command. I believe you all know echo commands. Print command, right? Set up and configure the server. As simple as that. Right? Now, how do you call the script? Simply bash and then the script name. See? It will execute whatever you hear. And also if you see, I'm seeing the permissions of it. See, it's a read, right? The general permissions. I want to run it as an executable because it's a script. In that case, you can provide executable permissions for this.
Yeah.
Owner can have execute permissions. And now, actually, I should.
Sample.sh. Yeah.
So now, do you see the color change? Yesterday we were talking about. It has got execute permission. Here it is applicable. Execute permissions means you can run it as an executable this way. This is another way to call the shell script. These are the two ways you can call your shell script. Is this clear, everyone? Understood?
Yes.
I'm deleting sample folder, just it's getting confused with it each time. Okay, I need to give extension, but now it will be simple. Right, this is how you can execute the script. Okay, fine. What else we can do with our shell script? The advantage of using this VS Code editor, you see, right? Syntax highlighting, the colored text, so that you can see the font, the syntax, everything clearly. The indentation, everything can be seen clearly. So, right. Now, let's use few more parameters here. Let's say I would like to use some variable. Okay. What is a variable, by the way? If anyone coming from new background or completely different background, you don't need to worry. Variable is nothing but a holder or a storage for any value. Like in mathematics, we will do this, right? Assign phi to x. X is a variable. Same concept. You don't need programming language to understand variable. Variable is nothing but a holder or a container which will hold some value, so that you can refer that with the variable name. Wherever you need 5, I can say x. Same is the case here. So I'm writing, you can give any name to your variable, a more defined name, so that we would understand what this variable is all about rather than simply X. Here I can do X, and I want to store name of the file. That's all. Just I want to store the name. So give some meaningful name so that I can understand it's nothing but the file name, right? So I have assigned it. And then how do you or what do you, how do you use this variable name? I want to print this using this file. Okay, using this file. So I would use the variable name instead of using the file name to configure. I just want to have another echo command, that's all. So let's see.
Could you please increase the font size, please?
Okay. Can you see it better now?
Yeah, I can see
Yes.
it. Thank you.
Okay, so here you can see, I just want to print using the file underscore name to configure. Actually, I don't want to print the name of the variable. I want to print this using config.yml to configure, right? But if I write the variable name right like this, it would just print this text. But I want to see the value stored in the variable. So if you want to refer to the value stored in the variable, you have to refer the variables as dollar. Right? So dollar file name. Now if you run the script, it's working as expected. Got the difference? That's how you refer the variables with a dollar, prefix with a dollar.
Yes, ma'am.
Preeti, don't we have on the fifth line, when we are declaring a variable, don't we have to declare it as with the pound symbol?
Not required.
Okay.
When you want to refer the value of the variable anywhere, you would refer this. Otherwise, no. So these are the few things. And let's say, okay, I want to define another variable called config files. And these config files should hold the files of some directory, let's say. So ls, let's say there is a folder called config. But if I do this, config files will have ls config. But I want to store contents of it. So let me put dollar. Dollar ls config means config files will have the content of this folder. Okay. And then I would like to print this echo contents of config directory, right? So how do you refer to it again? Config files, right? Now let's try to print this. See, can you see here, whenever it is executing fifth line, cannot access this directory because the directory, see, I'm not giving any path directly. Ls means it will check in the current directory. Current directory means here this one. So there is no config directory. That's why it's giving this error. Right? It's saying this directory does not exist and contents of config is empty. Instead of showing this kind of message, maybe I want to run this command upon checking if directory exists or not. Is that possible? Right? I don't want to execute this always. I want to execute if directory is present. That's where
If conditions.
conditional statements like if comes in. If minus d, d is a file operator, config. So if folder is present, then that's called if conditional statements. So if folder is present, then also I would like to print some echo command. Reading the config directory. Right? And then take this. What if you don't have it? Means what if the folder is not present? Means if else condition. This, if it is true, then only it will go to if block. There is also else block. If folder is not present, I would like to print config directory not found, creating one. I would like to create it as well. How do we create? mkd
In that,
config. And then also I would like to create some content there, config file2.txt, right? Also, I would like to take the content and then config files, right? And how do you close if block? Reverse of if is F5. That's how you close the if block. See here, if -d config, if this folder exists, then print it. Else, if it is not present, then create a directory, create a file, then take the content and then print it as usual, right? So this is called if conditional statement, and -d is one of the file operators. It will check if this folder present. If this folder is present means it will return true. If it is true, it will execute. Else will not execute. Only either if block or else block will execute. If this is false, then only else block will execute. Right? So always either if or else will execute, not both. So in this case, if I do this condition handling, I wouldn't see this kind of error. Right? So as of
Yeah.
now, don't have config folder, but now let us try to run this. See here. Set up and configure the server, config directory not found, creating one, right? Config this time config directory not found, it went into else block. Using the config.yml to configure this line, and then contents of it is file2.txt. If you see now, yes, config directory is created. If you go there, yes, you have file2.txt. Understood this, everyone? Any questions from anyone?
Yeah, now if we run, it will go to configure if block, right?
Hmm?
Now if we run again the script, the
Yes,
if statement will execute.
yes. Just a second. Okay. So,
Yeah.
is this clear for all? Now let me
Yes.
rerun and see what happens. It should go to if block now. See, it went if block, reading the config directory because folder is already present. And then contents
Yeah.
of as usual. Right? So now there wouldn't be any error handling both the cases. Okay. So this is file name and this is the folder name. Let's say each time I want to create a different folder. So let's say now it's config folder, but later I have some other folders, different folder names. I mean, I have to change here, every line I have to change this folder name, correct? So rather than this, if I want to reuse the same value, I would like to take another variable and store the folder name. Let's say this time it's my directory, but how do I replace it? I want to replace the folder name here. So how do we do that? Dollar folder name, right? So wherever you have it, reading the contents, reading the folder name. I should prefix it, right? ls, wherever you have this directory not found, created inside this file to ls, even here, contents of it. Got it? The another importance of variable. Now, if I have each time a new folder name, I could just change here, correct? So it's my directory now. See, my directory not found because of this statement. This directory not found. and creating one, and then content of my directory. So my directory might have created. Understood, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Right? That's how you can handle the folder names or any variable names this way. Instead of hard coding it, we are using the variable. And let me add, we have seen if else condition, right? What if you have multiple cases? Like let's say if it is A, do this. If it is B, do this. So you have multiple cases. How can we handle it? Let's see. Let's say I'm defining another variable, user group. User group equal to, let's say Tom is the user group. Now, depending on this user group, I just want to check this user group. If user group equal to Tom, we have to print something, or else you have to give some permissions. But now I'm writing echo command. It could be some chmod commands, right? So let's say if it is Tom, they can configure the server. If you have multiple conditions, you have something like elif, means else if. If this is admin group, then administer the server. Means we might be giving them more permissions. If it is something else, no permissions to configure the server. Right? So another if condition, like if you have multiple cases options, you can do this. This is called double equal to, is called comparative operator. It will compare. User group is Tom. So which block it will execute now?
First one.
ADM, ma'am. ADM. Tom is not there, right?
Why ADM? User group is Tom. I have given user group
Oh,
as,
okay, okay. Yeah. First is.
yeah. So configure the server. Let's say I want to give a different value. I have to put here this value and then admin the server because it matches this one. It goes here. Let's say I give something else, like let's say EC2 user. Okay. Now, no
Else.
permissions to configure the server. This else block exists. Okay. So if you have multiple conditions, this is how you can do. And each time again, I have to hard code the value here, folder name, username. Can I pass those values during runtime?
Yes, ma'am. Then parameter.
Meaning whenever you're calling the script, I want to pass this folder name, username and all. So you can replace them. Let's say first, let me just use username. Okay, you can replace this with a positional parameter, $1. Means whatever variable you pass as a first value whenever you are calling it will be assigned to this. Let's say username is Tim. Because again, Tim doesn't have permissions, no permissions to configure the server, right?
Yeah.
Else, let's say it's a John. No permissions to configure the server. Okay, right? If I give Tom, obviously configure the server. So whatever you pass it as a first one will be, this is called positional parameters. Let's say I want to pass folder name also during runtime. $2. I want to replace file name also during runtime. I don't want this hard-coded fixed value each time. So $3. Okay. So now first one is Tom, second one is folder name. So let's say new directory. Third one is file name, my file. See, set up and configure the server, new directory not found, creating one, using the my file to configure, contents of new directories file to configure the server because it's Tom. Got it?
Yeah.
What if you
Yes,
pass
ma'am.
them in a different order? Let's say
It will give something.
directory 1. Okay, Tom is the folder name. File name is, let's say directory name is file1.txt. Okay, and then file name is Tom. Again, see file1.txt directory not found because second one is used as a folder name, right? Set up and configure the server because 1 minute. Set up and this one. This is this one irrespective of condition. Then it is this one reading the file one doesn't found means it went into this block, created one, and then contents of it is this one should be printed here. Using the file name as a Tom. Tom is the file name to configure. Then the folder name. Folder name is file1.txt is this file2.txt. And then user group is directory 1. So no permissions to configure. Understood? So positional parameters should be used carefully. You should pass them in the same order. Accordingly, you will write $1, 2, or so on. Is that good and clear? Everyone
Yes,
full?
ma'am. Yes.
Yeah.
Got it.
Right. There are many other things we can look into. Here, it's not just Linux is completed. We'll take up these things as we progress. So I'm just introducing you a few things here. And let's say you have some, okay, you want some prompt, user prompt. Let's
Yeah.
say reading the, or else
We'll get the parameter, madam.
some sensitive data, let's say, right? So you want a prompt for the input. Read minus p means actually here you should put enter the password. Okay. And I would like to assign this to something like user password. If you want to print it, you can do it. Thanks for the password. And I want to print the password. Actually, we shouldn't print it just to show you how it works. Also, let's say enter the user data. Maybe just if you want to print something like this, maybe I'm passing same value. See, this is the just echo command. Read minus p means this phrase, enter the password. Here you have to enter the password. Like whatever. Thanks for the password, right?
Yes.
So some, if you wanted to wait for some user prompt, that's how you can use read parameter. Read. These are some of the shell script basics. And here we are using -d, right? This is called file operator. There are many such operators. It's not expected that you will learn by heart all of them. But you should have an idea that, okay, there is something like file operator, we can use it. No one will expect you to memorize and by heart those file operators. No one knows it, but you should know how to use it as required. And if you go to your Google Drive, Linux, here I have added some references, right? Some additional references like cheat sheet and how to use Vim thing, and then the actually this is not the one. Okay. I think I have placed it here. Okay, this one. Okay, let me add this also in the references. This is a good page where you can refer, like whatever file operators I'm showing, right? These are all the different file operators. That's what I'm saying. You don't need to buy heart or memorize, but understand, okay, there is a file operator out of which we are using -d. Check if file is a directory, means it will check if a folder is present or not. So you have many as such examples as well, how to use them. Like we have used -d, there were other operators as well. So you can go through them, but it's not that, like I said yesterday, you don't need to go through them, all of them by heart and all. When you have time, spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes every day so that you get some idea on it. That's how you can do. And the advantage of this tutorial is, I wouldn't suggest this, but still you can practice here itself. But I would suggest, see here, you can just copy and use it. Terminal here itself, you can use the script. But I would suggest you to go for EC2 instances, but if you want, you can also use this. Total for output, it's printing. Right? So for quick reference, for quick hands-on, you can use it. Equality operator, which we have used. Compare two numbers, if both are same, returns true or false, kind of. So these are the references available in the drive. Any questions from anyone on this? Is the script clear? This is very basic.
Can you please share this file?
Right. So this is basic and the sample script. We'll be using this script in the CI/CD pipeline also. So how to use it, what are all the different new things we'll use, all of that we will learn. It's not just that completed, shell scripting is completed, we'll keep on using it. But to what extent you should know, all of that clarity you will gain. Any questions on this part from anyone? So that's how you connect to the EC2 instance from VS Code editor and use the benefit of syntax help and text highlighting and all. Now I would like to go back to my terminal. This is my EC2 instance, right? Let me connect back from the terminal. You could use the same EC2 instance, I mean VS Code terminal also. So now that we have gone through some Linux basics and the concepts, let us focus on installing the packages. Do you remember we installed Git on our laptop? Let us install Git on this machine. Do we have Git? Just run the Git command. It says command not found means Git is not installed. So if you want to install any packages on Linux, we'll use something called package manager in Linux. Right? Package manager. This will help you download and install the packages. Each Linux distribution has got different packages. It's yum for CentOS Linux based, and it's a apt-get if it is Debian based systems. Ours is CentOS Red Hat based systems. Right? We are using Amazon Linux-2, which is CentOS Red Hat based, which is very widely used. If you still want to check which distribution is your Linux system, go to this file. There is a system defined file called OS release. It's present under etc folder. So you can go here. Amazon Linux-2. This is like CentOS Red Hat Fedora. Right? So yum is the package manager. So we'll use yum to install or uninstall any packages. But what is a package manager? Like installation in Linux will be a bit different from Windows. Like when you install in Linux, all the binaries will be going into bin folder, libraries into lib folder, and so on. Means there is a segregation on what components should go under which directories and all during installation. And installation also the same process. So it would be tedious for us to make this kind of configurations, and we'll use M package manager, which will take care of these installations, right? So to install Git, command is M install Git. That's all. It will download from the yum repositories and it will install. And this yum will be installed and configured by default on these EC2 instances. If you take a raw Linux machine, you may have to configure and install it. That's a Linux admin part. We don't need to configure or configure yum repositories or configure yum and all. Yum is already there. Yum repositories are configured. Yum repositories will be configured here. There is a folder called yum repos.d under etc. Here are the files called repository files where yum repositories are configured. So see, these are the URLs from where yum can download the packages from. So they're already configured. You don't need to do whenever or else there is a scope where you will create your own repositories. Then we'll talk more about it. So you can directly use yum install git. It should install git. It is asking for confirmation. Give yes. See, you can see git is downloaded and installed. That's all. Only the difference. Now, if you run git, it will show lot of verbose. Means git is installed. If you want, you can check. Only installation differs. As git is installed, I would like to go to the home directory and I want to version control some folder. Create a folder. Concepts are same. You remember these concepts, right? I want to make this as a local repo. What you should do? Git init. As we learn, .git will be created. Again, everything is same. Git status, git add, git commit, git push, git pull, everything is same. Right? Commands, concepts remain same. Either it is Windows or Linux, whatever it is. Only the installation differs. Okay, if you want, you can practice git here also now. Am I clear?
Yes, please.
Yeah, where are we currently? We are not in the EC2, right?
Hmm?
Currently, we are not in the EC2 folder, right? It's the root directory.
It's a root directory. It's in the root folder.
Okay.
They are running as a root because installation needs root user.
How do you go from EC to the CD tilde mem?
So su
Wherein?
hyphen. I'm EC2 user. If you want to go to root, sudo su hyphen.
Okay, okay. Got
You
it.
become a root.
Yes, yes. Okay.
And let us install few more packages. I would like to show you installing few more packages here. It's not only just to show you installation, it's to introduce you web server. What is a web server? Do you know what is a web server?
A server which hosts a web application.
Yes, come again, please.
Yeah, the server which hosts web application.
Yeah, web server is nothing but where you can host some static websites like some HTML pages or PHP pages. Also, apart from that, it can be used like a load balancer as a proxy, right? These are all different things you can do. Okay, so that's a web server. I just want to introduce this web server to you. It's a basic for anyone. Whoever in IT should have some basic knowledge of this web server. These are all the different web servers, HTTPD, Nginx, and so on. So, and also you have to learn few things here. They run on the default port 80. Right, web server runs on the default port 80 when you install it. If you want, you can change the port, but that's the default port. And there is something called document root location. Whenever you install it, for HTTPD, this will be the document root location for HTTPD. For Nginx, it will be something like USR, share, Nginx, something like this. Document root location means if you want to host any website, any pages, this is the location where you have to place them. So these are the few things, a general or a basics, which everyone should know. So now if I go to var www.html. I don't see this path, but let us install HTTPD. M install HTTPD -y so that it will not prompt for yes or no later. This is how you install any packages. HTTPD is installed. If you run HTTPD, it's showing nothing, like it's installed. But is it running? How do you check the status of any service? Systemctl status. Systemctl is the utility which will check the status of the services. It's inactive. How do you start it? Start HTTPD. Restarting system should be setting out this. So that's how you can start any service. Let me restart the instance. Stopping it. Here I just want to show you changing the port number, few basics. This knowledge is important because we are going to automate those with a DevOps approach. All these tasks will be automated. So I'm showing you the manual approach, and also here few Linux basics will be covered. And let me start it. Yeah, let me connect to this. Sudo su-. Now let me check the status. Systemctl status HTTPD. Systemctl start HTTPD. It is started now. Now again, if you check the status, it's active and running. Like I told you, default port is 80. But how do you confirm it? Let's say I'm new to this service. I don't know. Right? Maybe you might be going through different packages if you want to see where it is running. There'll be process ID in Linux. Do you see 3260? netstat -lntup will give you all the ports where your service are running. See, it's listing all the ports. But I want to see only this process ID. See, it's showing so many process IDs. So if you want to search this, as it will give the complete data, I just want to pipe grep. That's how pipe grep can be used. Another use case of pipe grep. 3260. Right? So now you can see 3260. This one. Only this one is shown. And it is running on port 80. Perfect, right? That's how you know it's running on port 80. Means, how do you check this? Go to this instance, get the public IP, or else here you can check as curl. Curl will show the content of the browser in the command line. Localhost 80, yes. Here you are seeing. This means HTTPD is installed and running. Correct? Yes, you can see here.
What is the command you used, Preeti? Because
Curl localhost 80. Right? If you want to check it from the browser, get the public IP of the EC2 instance. Port 80. Right? Public IP because I'm using from outside, but for you to see this port, that port should be allowed. This is EC2 instance basics, AWS basics. So like you open the firewalls, you have to open that security rule on this instance. Go to security tab. There's a security group, edit the inbound rules for allowing traffic. Only 22 is allowed. 22 is for SSH connection. Okay, but now I want a port. So use HTTP port will be there. From source is from anywhere. Now I should see this as port 80 is added here. See, now I should be able to see this. EC2 instance public IP. Right, this is what. That's the same content is shown in the CLI with a curl. Okay, and this is on the browser. Is this good now? Now tell me, is HTTPD running on my laptop? Where is HTTPD installed and running?
It's
No,
EC2.
it's not.
EC2 instance. I'm just accessing the particular port from the browser. Also, you all can access this. I'm sharing this link in the Zoom chat. Can you all hit that and see?
Yes, working.
Okay, and also here it says you may want to add the content on www.var.html. This is where you can add the content if you want to deploy something. Okay, so any HTML pages, PHP pages can be kept here. Let's do that as well. Let us go to var www.html. This is actually developer task. Developer should give us some HTML files or some sample PHP pages. Let me get some sample HTML page. Simple sample web page in HTML. Okay, see here here there is the content. I can just copy this. Okay, some sample. Actually, this is the code which developers should give. But anyway, I'm just showing you a sample. Index.html. Place all the content here. Save it. Now I placed in the document root location. Till now, nothing is deployed, so it's showing test page. If you refresh it, you should see it. Can you see that, everyone? Yes or no? Can you hit the URL, refresh the URL?
Yes, ma'am. Same thing coming.
Yes, Preethi.
Okay. I'm just trying to get some good code to see a better page. Okay, whatever it is, let it be. So this is how you can see. Now everyone is accessing this page, right? I would like to go through some EC2 instance concepts, right? Like I told you, it's not that we'll just start with the AWS concepts and finish it. As according to the scenario, we'll go through. Now, security, everyone is accessing, but in real time, this is not a best practice. I don't want everyone to see this page. Let's suppose only I want to see this page. I'll choose my IP. Can you refresh that page and see? I can still see it, but how about you guys? Can you still access the page?
No, ma'am. It's not coming.
Right? That's how you restrict the access. Earlier, what I did, I have given source as anywhere. Source parameter is important. This is again important from the point of interview. What is the source parameter when you are using inbound rules or security groups? How do you restrict others accessing it? Right? As of now, earlier I have given anywhere. So again, you all guys can access it. So that's the importance of source parameter. I can restrict who should see it. Okay. And this is how you host some static content on a HTTPD web server. Is this much clear for all? Any questions? Understood?
Yes, Preethi.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? And let's say you want to change the port. There will be some configuration files like HTTPD and then conf httpd.conf. This is where the default ports are configured. See here, listen port 80. Let's suppose I want to listen on port, I want to use this port 8081. Save it. Actually, what you should do is, before making this change, stop HTTPD and start it. That's a best practice. But anyway, I changed it. I'm restarting HTTPD. Should be started on the new port, not anymore on 8080. It should be on 8081. And let it restart. This is not the best way. First, you should stop the service, change the port, then start it. Let it get started. It should go away. See? Okay. It should be on 8081. And let the prompt come. Meanwhile, it is no more on 80. Should we add 8081 here or not? To allow traffic, yes, you have to add even that port. Otherwise, it wouldn't work. Let's wait. It wouldn't work on the browser. It can work access from the system, but not from outside. Prompt came up. If you want, we can see the status of HTTPD. Yes, it's active. Net stack minus LNTUP. Pipe grab. This time process ID is 3405. See now, can you see that it's on 8080, HTTPD on 8081. So can you directly see that on 8081? Right, you won't see outside, but here you can see like localhost 8081. Yes, right? You are seeing the web page, new web page. But to access from outside, you should add that port, allow traffic to that port from outside, 8081. It's a custom TCP, 8081, anywhere so that you all can access it. Done. Now check this. You should be able to proceed. Right? Can you all see the page?
Yes, Preeti.
That's how you check the port of any service. That's how you stop, start, change the ports of the services. And that's how you use security groups in EC2 instance or security groups for AWS. These are all the concepts covered in here. Similarly, this is a web server. Similarly, you have Nginx as well. If you want, you can also use Nginx, the same web server. Of course, apart from the static website hosting, it can be used as a proxy, as a load balancer, and so on. But these are the basic things. Similarly, you have an application server. Tomcat. Again, this is also similar, like the default port is 8080. If you can change the port. And for Tomcat, you have to place the code in web apps folder. If Tomcat is for to host Java or Java servlet pages, this can be used. So you can get some sample Java code and do this. Can I proceed installing Tomcat or any questions from anyone in the HTTPD?
No, Preeti, you can go ahead.
I have a question. So HTTPD is an application, right? And Nginx also different or both are same?
Both are different. HTTPD is a service. Tomcat is also a service.
Okay.
Okay, so let us install Tomcat. Yum install Tomcat. And Tomcat is Java-based application. Java should be installed. It is installing the dependencies and it is installing here. So let's Let's finish. Done. You can check the status. Systemctl status Tomcat. So it's not running. Let's start this. Start Tomcat. Tomcat should be started. And here you can see both are two different services or applications. HTTPD works like a web server or a proxy or a load balancer. Tomcat works like an application server, meaning if you want to host any Java applications, Java servlet pages, Tomcat can be used. Right? So it's running on 4068. You can check the port. Let's start -lntup pipe grep 4068. See, it's running on here. You can see the port, this one, 8080, right? And also, the place where you have to provide this is USR share Tomcat. Okay, there are so many subfolders. Within the web apps is where you have to host your Java code, place your Java code. And if you want to change the port, it is in the conf directory. Conf, and it is server.xml. This is where you have to change the port if you want. Like we changed the port of HTTPD. If you want, you can change the port here. Here, connector port, right? But I'm not changing the port as of now. If you want, you can do it. Come out of conf, and here is the web apps folder. Right? So this is where you can host your Java code. I think Sasikumar, like you are asking about its application, right? See, this HTTPD, Tomcat, you may call them as application or services. This is again, Tomcat is an application, right? On this again, you can host your Java applications, right? Let's imagine this is like an application server, right? On which you can host your Java application. This itself is also another application which we have installed. Rather than calling it as an application, we can say installing this package or installing this service. On top of it, you will host your applications like your Java applications. Any Java code can be placed in here, right? So again, this is a task of a developer. Developers write the code. And we need that code so that we'll create a var file. What is a var file? How do you create var file? And all we'll see. You don't need to write code, but you will create the var file as a DevOps person. For creating var file, you don't need to learn Java. Okay, but we don't have anything. I will just download some sample var file. Developers will write the code and generate this var file, or else any DevOps engineer also can generate a var file using the build tools. So I'm just getting some sample var file. Copy the link address. It's available in this URL. But how to download anything from the URL? And also I have to download in this path. So web apps path. So I have came to this path. And if you want to download anything from a URL, wget this URL. So that, see, sample var file is generated. This is like a zip file, okay, or else a rar file. And it would be extracted. Once your Tomcat is starting, it would be extracted. See, in few minutes, do you see it is got extracted to a folder? Now that it is extracted, you can access your Tomcat. How do you access it? On port 8080, and the endpoint should be that folder name which is extracted. It's sample.var, so endpoint will be sample. But what else we have to do? Add the rule custom TCP 8080 from anywhere. Now, yes. So do you see that endpoint is sample because it's a sample.var. This is the Tomcat server running on port 8080, and we have deployed sample application on the Tomcat application server. Application server means where you can host your applications, like Java applications particularly for Tomcat. Is that clear now, Sasikumar and everyone?
Yes, I am. Thanks.
So this is application server running on port 8080. Web server running on port 8081. On web server, which is running on 8081, HTTPD web server running on 8081, I have deployed a sample HTML page. Tomcat application server running on port 8080, on which I have deployed my Java application, which is sample application. Application name itself is sample application. Is it making sense now for everyone? If you want, you can change the port as well. In the conf directory, you have server.xml where you can change the port. Here, so many concepts are covered. wget to download anything from a URL, netstat to check the port, systemctl to start, to stop, to check the status, installing the packages, starting the services, restarting the services, security groups in Linux. These are the basics everyone should have. If you are working as a developer or DevOps person, and this security group basics, everyone should have. Do some hands-on on this, the raw method or the basic way of doing it, basic way of installing the packages. We are going to automate all of this and leverage this to our applications, which we are going to create CI/CD pipeline. So before automating anything, first you need to have clarity on doing it manually. So that is the reason for covering it. So I expect everyone to complete all of this hands-on before the next class. Like today we have seen installing, we have learned installing packages, right? Starting services, downloading some files using wget, all of this. Tomorrow, we are going to start with the Jenkins where I'll use these concepts to install Jenkins.
Okay.
Preeti, what is the use of NGINX?
Nginx is also like HTTPD. That is also a web server, but far advanced web server than HTTPD.
Okay. So are you going to show any example on that, or are you going to cover it later?
Here the intention, even covering HTTPD, is not to learn Nginx or HTTPD, right? To install some packages or to have some basic idea of HTTPD, because here we'll be using HTTPD more as a web server. We are going to host our applications. We are going to use microservice application PHPDB. So we'll be deploying it on web server. That's the idea of introducing you HTTPD. But we'll not be going and learning Nginx or HTTPD into the depth. No, that's not the focus.
All right.
But if you want to see some differences on HTTPD Nginx, this is the web page. I can post it. Anyone interested, you can go through it. But you don't need to learn this to this depth because that's not the focus.
So in real time, what is the main service it's going to use? Is it HTTPD or NGINX?
It depends on your application. Like if it is your Java application, will not at all use this, right? We may be using Tomcat, or else you might be using some other application server like JBoss. It depends. These are some basic web server and application server which I am showing you. And another thing is you may be containerizing the whole stuff rather than installing this way. So you can consider it like it depends on your application.
Okay.
And these can be used like if you see Nginx, we'll be using it as an Nginx load balancer in Kubernetes, ingress controllers in Nginx. There are different purposes of it.
Mhm.
This is one of the use case to host the website. It need not be always to host the code. It could be for various purposes we use it. But you don't need to go and learn that Nginx or something into depth. Just understand it like a web server for hosting some web pages will be using it.
Yeah, okay, Preethi.
Any more questions from anyone?
Preeti, containerizing, you mean to say Dockerizing? Both are same, correct?
Correct. Correct.
Okay. And how much we should be aware of about the this shell scripting? Say, if you take 10 points out of that as a DevOps experienced engineer, how much you should be knowing as far as shell scripting is concerned? Like 8 points, 9 points. It depends upon experience, but still.
It depends on the project, not the experience, project requirement. Like I think I spoke about this in the beginning as well. Some projects, if they are just looking for a core shell scripting, like they have a requirement, they are using that kind of, you may need a very advanced shell scripting kind of, but that's not the role which we are looking at, right? You are not looking for as a Linux admin or a shell scripting, right? Our focus or our this course main agenda is the DevOps content, and the DevOps is the focus, like the DevOps tools, like containerizing, CI/CD pipelines. And of course, in the CI/CD pipelines, a little bit of shell scripting, if it is used, that is fine. But if the role is for in-depth of shell scripting, that is not for us, or that's not our focus. We are looking at the focus as DevOps. So for this, you just need the moderate knowledge or the basic knowledge of DevOps will do.
Okay, I got it. Thank you.
Like there would be vast projects, still they are using shell scripting. They should move on to some other tools, but still companies, some projects are still using it. But it's not that every DevOps project is using it. So you should choose, go through the job description and see what suits you. Let's say you already know shell scripting, you came from Linux background, then you may go for it. But that's not the focus here. In my personal experience, till now, I haven't used shell scripting. So that's how it is. It's not that someone saying, okay, shell scripting you should have as a DevOps person. And that's not correct. Personally, I haven't used it. But maybe some projects might be using, I'm covering some basics. So that should be your focus as well. It's good to have skill, but not it's a mandatory, or it's that every DevOps project uses shell scripting or majority uses shell scripting. No, majority of the projects doesn't use shell script. So the point is how much you should know. You can just know the basics. And it's not like today we are complaining, it's not that it's completed. We go through different aspects of using it throughout the course. If you can master till that part, that's enough to become a DevOps engineer and to clear your interviews. If you are going into a job interview where shell scripting is the focus, then as per my course, I would say that's not for you.
Got it.
Any more questions? Let's say there is a job description where containerization is the key role, where they are looking for a person who want to containerize it, or else they were looking for a person who need Kubernetes into depth, who want to make deployments, who want to write Helm charts, who want to deploy microservices with auto scaling and EKS. Yes, that is for you. So you choose, I mean, of course, upon your like background, let's say you are coming from Linux part, then yes, you can apply, you are eligible for both. But if you are depending on this course to go to DevOps role, then that's the job description which suits you. Or else Ansible, Terraform, they are looking for some expertise in Terraform, that is for you. But let's say they want to build CI/CD pipelines and they're looking for some person who has in-depth of shell scripting, then that's not for you. I think I'm making this clear for all of you, right? So
Yes.
also I would say,
Yes, ma'am.
don't panic by seeing the huge list of DevOps tools. Don't panic by someone saying Python is needed, shell scripting is needed. You should know this, that, this, all of this tool stack for DevOps. No. Concentrate on what you want to focus on, what you want to get into. Focus on this part, gain expertise on that. That will do.
I feel Preeti is that nowadays most of the companies are moving to Python. Yeah, older companies still they're using Java, that's for sure. But I feel that it's better to know the Python also, at least basics.
As a DevOps person or as a developer you're talking about?
I'm talking as far as DevOps engineer, I mean to say. Not in depth, but I feel that we should know basics at least. But nowadays,
Again, I would say the same, Raghavendra. Again, my answer is same as shell scripting. It's good to have, but it's not again mandatory to go for Python. Not that every project uses it. There is an understanding that, okay, Python is very important for various aspects, not for DevOps. It's for various other aspects, but not for DevOps. You should know Python. Basics, yes, good to have basics of shell scripting, Python. Also in a resume, you can put basic knowledge or knowledge of, but don't claim expertise. Those are good to have, again, like shell scripting.
In our company, we have two DevOps wings, Preeti. And so one wing doesn't use Python, and the other wing use Python. So it depends.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Preeti, I have a doubt about.
Point, one second, Kiran. The point about is, yes, let's say you have two projects. One is Python and one is one is core DevOps, like DevOps tools, Kubernetes, Docker containers and all. Another one is looking for Python. Here, this course focuses on this DevOps part. If a DevOps role with Python, then this is not the course for. If you are interested to get a separate course, because we can't include Python here. You all know, right? Python is too vast. It's again, you can learn Python for 1 year also. At least to get master, gain expertise, you need 6 months for it. So if your focus is that master these tools, then pick up Python, that's how you should go. But we cannot put that into here. Also, I wouldn't agree that Python is mandatory or else it's equally important as other tools where DevOps is focusing. So that's again, let's say you are coming from developer background, it would be very easy for you to know programming language or scripting. You can easily jump into that and get into, but that's where there is a fine line. Yes, Kiran, go ahead, please.
Okay, let me just share my screen. Okay, I'm not able to share the screen. Preeti, I think if you are sharing the screen, could you please stop it?
Like regarding?
It's regarding Linux. I'm not able to edit the file for which I have given the share or write option to other users.
All right. So that is all for today. I'm going through the queries which they were blocked with. Let me give the permission to.
Or can I just post it in the group, WhatsApp group?
Yes, please. You can post it in the group as well.
Yeah, sure.
We'll respond there. All right then. Thank you all. Good day. Bye everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.